The time has finally come. It's time to start Deuce Knight.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, that is Locked On's recruiting and transfer portal and NIL show. Very relevant, about to become even more relevant in the coming weeks. Brian, I want to talk about player retention and how Auburn needs to juggle that as far as, do you value that, and do you value that more than how it should impact who your next head coach is? I want to discuss that with you, but I figured this would be fitting, and I've wanted to talk about this all week, but I'm like, I got to wait for Brian to come on to tackle this topic. It's time to start Deuce Knight. The timing situation and the redshirt situation with Ashton Daniels is super, super interesting. Haven't really seen anything like it before, but you need to let him sit out so you can start him against Alabama and then redshirt him. And so then the question is, okay, well, do you start Jackson Arnold or do you start Deuce Knight? The answer is, Brian Smith, you start Deuce Knight against Mercer.
Yeah, for two reasons. Number one, you got to see what he can do.
Yes.
Number two, you also need to make sure he doesn't leave. And that solves both problems, in my opinion. So go for it. It's Mercer. If he can't handle Mercer, then he doesn't need to be at Auburn.
Yeah. The folks who are saying, hey, maybe don't start Deuce or maybe start Jackson and then let him get a lead and then put Deuce in early if you're up 14 or whatever. And my response to that is I've got two. One's about Deuce and one's about Jackson. I'll start with the one about Deuce. Is, okay, everybody's kind of meeting that with, well, worst case scenario, right? It's like, well, what if he goes in and turns it over a bunch? My response is like, if he proves that he's not the guy of the future, like, I don't think that's an entirely bad thing from an Auburn point of view. Or you just get more information anyway. Then you can go back and look at the tape with him like, okay, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Was it a fluke? Whatever. The part about Jackson, even if you start Jackson for a few series just to like help him get a lead or whatever, assuming you get a lead with Jackson, is, okay, Durkin talked about this earlier in the week when asked about Ashton, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he talked about, okay, whenever you make a decision like this, you've got to do what's best for the student athlete. You got to do what's best for the player. And obviously sacrificing another year of football for one game against Mercer is not like, that's a clear formula. If you're doing what's best for the player, Brian, this isn't fair and it's not guaranteed, but I'm guessing if they start Jackson Arnold, I don't think the Auburn fan base would be just clapping. I think there'd be boos. I think there'd be other things going on. And I don't think that's entirely fair to Jackson either.
Unfortunately, I agree wholeheartedly. And Auburn fans are just, I don't want to say they're at a breaking point. They are past. They've already been broken. The Kentucky game proved that based on everybody knows what I'm talking about, the end with the chant. So,
and they want to see Deuce. Yeah. Show them Deuce.
So if
they've been loyal, they've been patient. Let them see Deuce Knight.
Auburn's got some pretty faithful fans, I'll say that. And
thank goodness.
Yeah, if they didn't, it'd be a different story on many fronts. But that's not the point here. The deal is they've got to see him. The coaches got to see him, and he's got to know what it's like to get hit. Reminding everyone, quarterbacks at the college level, even high school for the most part, they don't get hit in practice at all. Like if you get near them, literally there are times coaches will yell at defensive players who are coming close to the quarterback.
Right.
He's got to get hit again. I know that's kind of an awkward thing to say, but he's a running quarterback. He is a freaky athlete. So they need to see how he throws after getting smacked. So that's part of it.
We saw Deuce Knight against Ball State, which, quick reminder, Ball is not a state. Other reminder, that entire week when the assumption was Deuce Knight was going to make his Auburn debut, the main thing I asked for that entire week was don't just platoon everyone in. Give them some time with the starters. Sure. And Hugh Freeze talked about it after the game. Like that was the plan, but it took them longer to get him into the game. So they put everybody in at once. And he just didn't really have any help from the other guys that weren't the starters. Shocker. I mean, how many times do you see a backup quarterback going with all the other backups and it just doesn't look good, right? It's not all on the quarterback. I think Bryce Kane dropped the pass. I think there were some other kind of miscues where it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I want to see Deuce with the starters. And we didn't get to see that against Ball State, which not a state. And I want to see him do it against Mercer.
So let the record show that Blackerby hates my post-grad alma mater, and let the record show that
you went to Ball State?
I grew up 30 miles from there.
Wait, you went there?
Yeah, I got my post-grad.
Shut up. How did I not know this?
I don't know. I just figured you were just taking shots at me.
No, it's been a bit all year. I didn't know you went there. That's hilarious.
Yeah, well, for you it is.
That's crazy.
But anyway, Deuce needs to play against somebody where it's, like you said, the first team. He needs to know what it feels like to see, okay, Cam, I overthrew him on this, do that. It's not the same in practice because they're not hitting Cam either.
Sure.
So all of that has to be real in live time so he can watch the film and make adjustments. That stuff is, who knows, if he plays well enough, maybe he has the capacity to be the number 2 against Bama. I don't know if you've thought about that. I'm just going to throw this. I would assume Ashton starting against Bama. If he gets a twisted ankle in the second quarter, if Deuce plays well against Mercer, is it Jackson? Or is it Deuce that plays against? Those kinds of things can come up, but you have no choice but to play Jackson if Deuce doesn't play a bunch against Mercer. You don't even have that option because you got to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
kind of get the feeling, Brian, that, I know it's the same coaching staff minus Hugh Freeze, but it definitely seems like this Freeze-less regime is done with Jackson. Like that book feels closed to me.
Is the possibility of Jackson even playing against Bama next to nil then? Because you're right now you're saying barring Deuce just looking horrific against Mercer, it's going to be him.
Yeah, I don't know who today. I don't know who QB2 would be.
That's
Honestly,
something they got to know. That's something they got to know.
They need to know. Yeah, I can guess. I think right now, if something terrible happened to Ashton and he couldn't play in the Iron Bowl, like I guess it would be Jackson. But maybe you learn more about Deuce against Mercer, and then you say, yeah, okay, Deuce can be the guy.
That's a whole nother thing, right?
Just want to be clear. We're talking about backup. We're talking about QB2 here. Right. Nobody go on a board and say Blackerby saying Deuce will start in the Iron Bowl. Do not say that.
Yeah, I'm just saying if like second quarter he gets rolled up on it, it's football.
It happens.
You got to have a plan for that, and you got to practice it all week.
Yep.
There's no way they're going to be able to keep that out of the media and everything. They'll try. That's not going to happen. But at the same time, somebody's
who QB2 is out of the media. Like if that were to happen, I mean, and hopefully it doesn't. Right? Hopefully Deuce looks great against Mercer. Let him play the entire time, and then let give Ashton another. Give Ashton the reins back, and let's finish the season. And hopefully, we're fighting for a chance to be bowl eligible, and you upset Alabama. That'd be awesome. That'd be great. And then the new coach comes in, 48 hours after the Iron Bowl, 24 hours after the Iron Bowl, and then we rock and roll.
I'm still picking Auburn to upset Alabama. So
that'd be great. That'd be great.
All year I'm continuing with that.
Can you come up with any argument to start Jackson over Deuce against Mercer?
The only way that would be the case is if they already know the Deuce is leaving. And if there's any chance at all that he's still starting, that means he doesn't plan to leave. If he was just dead set, told him I'm not sticking around, that would be the only one I can think of. You got anything?
Nope. Do you think there's any chance Ashton starts and they just say, hey, sorry, we need to do what's best for the team this year. Sorry, I messes you up next year. Do you think there's any chance of that?
No, because that would absolutely totally tick off the rest of the guys on the roster, because players look at it from a player perspective, not a program. I know fans don't want to hear that, but that's how it works.
Yeah.
You would dissolve your chances of keeping players if they did that.
That sounds dramatic, but I don't have an argument against it.
I'm just telling you how I know. This isn't opinion. Yeah, sure. This is how, that's how players look at stuff. And I know fans don't want to hear that. That's reality.
No, I get it. That's why I asked. I want your opinion. That's great. I don't disagree. Let's talk about player retention in a moment because I'm wondering, Brian, is that being brought up too much when we discuss Auburn's next potential head coach? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers at FanDuel, you can bet $5, you get $300 in bonus bets. Yeah. Win a $5 bet, you get $300 in bonus bets used throughout the app. It's incredible. It's incredible. The line for Auburn at Houston, or excuse me, against Houston in Birmingham this weekend, it is not out there yet. I assume Auburn will be an underdog. Whatever it is, I'm eyeing the money line for Auburn. I feel good about the Auburn Tigers this Sunday, but we'll see what that line is as we get closer, and I'll, of course, be glued to FanDuel for that. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers, once again, $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Kia Autosports Columbus. We all love Kias here, including the Kia Sorento. They've got so many new makes and models out there. They've got deals going all the time over at our friends at Kia Autosport of Columbus. You can check them out online, KiaAutosportColumbus.com, or you can go see them in person. They're just right off of Whittlesey Boulevard in Columbus, Georgia. Mention that you heard the show. Hey, heard you guys on Locked on Auburn. Poof. $500 off any new Kia purchase right then and there. And also, with any new Kia purchase, you get tires for life. Be sure to talk to them about that as well. Check them out, KiaAutosportColumbus.com. Thank you so much for making Locked on Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith of The Portal hanging out with us. Anytime we have a conversation about who's Auburn's next head coach could be, it's really tough to get through that topic, that conversation with anyone, and not discuss player retention. Is this something that's happening everywhere? Anytime there's a new open job, like I know you've done a lot of interviews and segments with other Locked On shows who, they've lost their head coaches as well. Is this a common theme, or is Auburn in a situation where, like, look, I mean, it's well documented how high a lot of people thought of Auburn's roster. Is this a situation that's a little bit more specific, or does everybody have this conversation when dealing with a potential new coach that's coming in just in this new era of college football?
I think the conversation happens with everybody. Auburn's in a better place than some others. And let me give you an example. I was on with Brandon Olson, and Florida
Locked on Gators.
Yep. Florida is a dumpster fire.
Love that.
They are a dumpster fire. Please clip that because it's true.
Sure.
And it's funny because you guys got beat 10-3 by Kentucky and fired your coach. They were already fired, but they got beat 38-7. That should never happen in Florida by anybody, to be honest. And I asked Brandon on the air, I'm like, what about this guy, Like, and even when I talked to him off the air, there was a lot of shaking of the head about players. These kids are,
and they're going to leave.
Yeah, Billy had a very strong hold on players. A lot of guys wouldn't have been at Florida. So it's school to school. I get the sense, and I live here in Auburn, so I know a little more, but I think more players at Auburn are attached to Auburn than they are at most schools. Why that is, I don't know, but let's just use this theory. If DJ ends up being the head coach, and I have zero idea if he will, their chances of having a good offseason and not getting rated goes up, but I don't think it would be as much as some other schools. Like,
do you think, so you mentioned DJ Durkin, obviously, because he's the interim right now.
Correct.
Do you think, I used to think if they got John Sumrall, who is the most likely candidate, that DJ Durkin would not be here anymore. And now I'm starting to think that he might be the defensive coordinator no matter what. Really? And so if they get John Sumrall and DJ Durkin is his defensive coordinator, what do you think that does for player retention on the defensive side of the ball versus the offensive side of the ball?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Sumrall is a defensive guy, correct? Correct. I would think that'd be pretty good. As long as DJ's got to have the conversation with John, hey, are we running my scheme or are you going to tinker? As long as it's his scheme, I think that would you'd be good. Because the kids nobody wants to learn a new scheme. That's not fun. It's a pain.
Yeah. And you can implement different things and all that. If you want to add more and game plan specific things against certain guys, I think that'd be fun.
But DJ's pretty popular, yes?
Yeah.
So Like, how would that not work? Because think about the last two classes, Zach. They're Georgia kids, they're Alabama kids, they're Mississippi kids. These kids don't have to go far. They liked Auburn. It's a fit. If they keep the same coach, it's got to be high. It's gotta be really high retention.
I don't think it would hurt. And then on the offense, it's interesting though, because a lot of the times we've been talking about getting an offensive coach and then keeping DJ Durkin. So if you get a Dillingham or a Braum, and then you keep Durkin, okay, the defensive guys are happy because you keep Durkin. The offensive guys are happy because it's like, oh man, I could do a lot in this offense, right?
If you're not happy with Braum and you're an offensive guy, you need to leave Auburn for other reasons.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want to do, right, from a production standpoint? But if you have a defensive head coach and then you keep your defensive coordinator, it puts a lot of emphasis on who that offensive coordinator is. One, because of the scheme. Two, because of the retention. And so it's like, all right, hey, you got to pitch. The money thing is fascinating. I'll get to that in a second, but hey, like there's a pretty good chance if you come here and you make a good impression, Cam Coleman stays and Malcolm Simmons stays and Perry stays and Jeremiah Cobb stays, and you kind of got a nice solid blueprint for an offensive line. What are you waiting for?
There's only one problem, and it's not one that Auburn can even fix. This is just circumstantial. Timing.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you all the players that Zach Blackerby just mentioned, every one of them has been contacted by other schools. 100%.
DJ Durkin said as much after the game against Vandy.
And I'll just be blunt, if the roles were reversed, Auburn would be doing the same. It's just the name of the game in today's world.
Right.
So you need to get not only a good coordinator, you need to get him yesterday. That's the problem, because certain schools, they're already in a good spot. They, like, do you think Georgia's not trying to get Cam Coleman? Of course they are.
Yeah.
Or whoever, fill in the blank. How quickly if it's DJ or a defensive guy, how quickly can you get an OC not only in the fold, but publicly in the fold? That is going to be.
I think it depends on who you target, right? I mean, Cohen has now said in multiple places he's expecting somebody shortly after the Iron Bowl, which you and I talked about before. The Iron Bowl is obviously on a Saturday. Signing day is on that Wednesday. That's a quick turnaround.
It better be Monday.
So if he's able to do that, some of this depends on who you want. And so if it is John Sumrall, like Auburn fans kind of need Tulane to not win the conference and not be in the discussion for a conference championship the following week. And it's like a 4-way tie for second or something crazy like that. Like the AAC, it is log jammed at the top with Navy and North Texas and Tulane and USF. So like, what does that look like? But then you can say the same thing for offensive coordinator. Okay, we can't go after anybody that's like on these elite teams because they're going to still play and they're probably going to be less likely to take the job. Coordinator, you might have a little bit more wiggle room than head coach. Like, would they be okay with somebody calling plays for a playoff team when he's like about to be Auburn's OC? Like, I think you could do that a little bit easier. I don't love it, but I feel like we've seen that in the past with people.
Yeah, your point about the whole playoff thing, it makes me think about this. If you're a Sumrall, do you want to really take Tulane into the playoff and get smashed? Because I don't care if it's Vince Lombardi reincarnated, you're getting smashed.
Right.
Or do you want the Auburn job? I mean, that's not fair to John, but that's the option he's going to have if he's
Man, if Tulane gets in the playoffs, like, I don't know how you don't stay with your team that you got to the playoffs.
A lot of guys don't. I remember when in 2000, Florida State was the best team in the country. Mark Richt took the Georgia job, and he stuck with Florida State, and it didn't blend well, and they got hammered by Oklahoma in the title game.
It's a different era, though, with the playoff, with you potentially playing 3 games. Like,
there's no way Tulane's playing 3 games. Look, he can't say that publicly, but he knows.
But you have to have it announced before signing day.
I think Auburn will be done with that press conference, and you and I will have an emergency pod on December 1st at about 4:00. That's my prediction.
Got it. I want to tell you, if it is Sumrall and they do keep Durkin, I want to tell you who my offensive coordinator is.
Oh, okay.
That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Supply House. Supply House is the best place to buy parts for all of your HVAC, plumbing, electrical needs. Often the most trusted brands in the business. They've got over 280,000 parts at your disposal. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5, SH for Supply House, SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, hanging out with us. If Auburn goes defensive-minded head coach, they need to go get Jake Spavital, offensive coordinator from Baylor. Stylistically, it's different than what Auburn's done in the past, but I think if they can keep the weapons, I think that would be a situation where I think Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and Malcolm Simmons would say, "Oh my goodness, I could really rack up production in this type of system." So that right now is my top pick at OC.
What tree is he from?
As far as like who he coached for?
Like which, because there's 2 or 3 different types of spread offense. And I'm just curious because like right now, Baylor's quarterback, he's very good.
So in 2011 and 2012, he was the QB coach at West Virginia.
12, that is the guy that is the coordinator at Miami right now. That is when they were killing it. They had that 4,000-yard passing quarterback is still in the NFL.
Yeah, he had different gigs at Texas A&M from 13 to 15.
Okay.
He was the OC and quarterbacks coach at Cal in 2016, went back to West Virginia in 17 and 18. Then he went to Texas State from 2019 and 2022. And then he was at Cal in 2023. And now he's at Baylor. Yeah.
Well, the 2012, I forget the Geno Smith.
That was that year, right? Yeah.
Yes. The coordinator that
crazy.
was at Miami, that was his first year as the OC. So that was his right-hand man.
Got it.
That'd be very intriguing because they'll run the ball. They'll use quarterbacks that can move, but they are predominantly a pocket team. If quarterback can move, they'll just adjust some. So that's a happy medium.
Yeah.
Deuce could run that system.
Yeah. Yeah. And once again, like I'm still just so fascinated to see what they do at quarterback in the portal because Jackson, I can't imagine him being here.
Well, I gotta feel that'll be $2 million for getting rid of him too. I'm not trying to
that'll be a mutual parting of ways and it'll free up some cap to, for lack of a better term. And then if you retain Deuce and Ashton stays, you get Falzone as your true freshman, assuming you hold on to him. You need another quarterback. And so do you go and get a guy to compete for the job or do you get a veteran guy who's okay just kind of hanging around? I don't know.
I think part of it will be answered on Saturday.
Possibly.
You have to see him play. And Deuce is my guy. I've known him for a couple of years, but you have to see him take hits and still throw. I mean, that's just, there's no shortcut. If he goes out and goes 9 of 24, you're going to get a quarterback. It's just, so they need to figure that out. And after that game, they can talk to him about it and say, you did well, you didn't, blah, 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 and they can make a decision. But part of it, though, will also be, I hate saying it like this, and I'm not saying it's going to be this way. Let's use Oklahoma. Mateer came in with Arbuckle. Not one or the other, both, the coordinator and the quarterback. There's always a chance that you could bring in somebody that's a hot shot FCS or G6 coach that brings in somebody, even if he's the backup, somebody that knows the scheme, and maybe Deuce is the guy because he could run it. There's a million ways you can do this. But it's got to be a spread quarterback coach that's proven in some capacity.
I wonder if Sawyer Robertson has eligibility left.
He's done.
I don't think he is. In 22, he played 3 games.
Oh, then he's got
23, 24, 25. So he should be.
He'll probably turn pro, I'd imagine.
I don't know. What if he came with Spavital to Auburn?
That would be an expensive quarterback room. I can assure you that.
I don't know if it'd be much cheaper than what we're paying our quarterbacks now, Brian.
I'm going to go ahead and make this announcement. I just did this on the Portal podcast.
Okay.
On my live show, talking about G6 quarterbacks. There's a handful that are really, really good. The kid at North Texas, he threw for 600 yards in a game this year.
He'll follow his coach somewhere. Yeah, right.
Probably. Top quarterbacks, I'm saying minimum is $4 million. Do you want to do that? Like, if you're paying $4 million, you got to be saying realistically to your boosters, we're a top 5 team next year. This guy gets us over the top. Can Auburn say that to their boosters? I think they're a borderline playoff team next year, but I mean, you got to like dive into the portal like uber hard at D tackle, all the expensive spots, offensive tackle. Do you have an extra 15 million laying around? Because like what you would need is going to be gross. You'd have to do it like Tech did it. So, but if he wants to come, it'd be kind of hard to say no because that dude can sling it.
That'd be crazy. That'd be so fun.
It'd be perfect for Deuce because he could play a little bit and learn from him, and then he'd be ready.
And anytime Cam or any of these receivers get a call from another coach, man, I'm good. Thanks.
Because that's the other problem. They probably like Deuce, but they don't, they still don't know either. It's different.
They don't know.
Calls in practice. It's just not the same.
We all love the idea of Deuce, but he has to do it.
I'm kind of rooting for him to play well. I don't.
Yeah, me too.
I don't even want to think about the podcast I come on with you if he lays an egg. That will not. Yeah,
no, I got a feeling next Saturday when we react to him against Mercer, I hope we're able to do that. I got to feel we're going to be excited, but we'll see.
He's an electric player.
Hey, you're electric. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
The Portal Podcast.
Ball State alum, Brian Smith.
That's true. Portal Podcast, wherever you get your pods, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, and of course, YouTube.
Yes, please like the video, please subscribe, and we will see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.